Hello and welcome to our sporting year in review here at Sky News. I'm Jim Callinan. Well, what an incredible 12 months it's been. We crowned new world champions, broke one of the final frontiers in cycling and saw plenty of headlines for both good and bad. We start, where else? In January.
This makes me sick. That's incredible lack of basics and not good enough.
The month began with a miserable Ashes campaign coming to an end, England completing a 3-1 series victory with a dominant win in the Sydney Test.
England win. They win the series by 3-1. The party will go long into the night. That is a very, very good cricket team.
The Socceroos demolished Uzbekistan 6-0 on their way to the Asian Cup final.
And Harry Kewell scores! The perfect start.
Before going down to Japan in the decider.
We had to be more clinical in our finish and then...
Inevitably, in those sort of matches, it comes back and bites you in the backside.
Kevin Muscat's A-League career came to an end after a 10-week ban for a horror tackle on Adrian Zara, while Brendan Favola had off-field concerns after being arrested during New Year's Eve celebrations in Brisbane. Lee Na claimed hearts at the Australian Open.
I didn't have a good evening last night. My husband sleep like this, you know.
What got you through the third set, even though you didn't have a lot of sleep last night?
Prize money, you know.
But she couldn't win the tournament, going down in 3 sets to Kim Clijsters in the final.
Aussie Kim is now Aussie champ.
I finally feel like you guys can call me Aussie Kim because I won the title.
In the men's, Novak Djokovic crushed Andy Murray in straight sets to claim his second Aussie Open.
He's done it. A second Australian Open to Djokovic.
February began with a bang. Ian Thorpe, Australia's greatest Olympian, officially back.
I know when I do my groceries now, people will be mostly wishing me well.
South Australia ended its 15-year domestic title drought with a Big Bash final win over the Blues.
And the Redbacks are the Big Bash champions.
And what Ashes loss? Australia wins the one-day series with England on home soil 6-1.
That's a super catch. What about it from nothing?
Shane Watson scooped the pool at Australian cricket's Night of Nights.
Shane Watson. The 2011 Allan Border medalist is Shane Watson.
Peak season for the cricketers, off-season for footy players, and we all know what that means. Another familiar swimmer decided to follow in Thorpe's big footsteps.
Yeah, but in a true Aussie spirit, just have a go.
The Dragons beat the Bunnies for the first time in 4 years in the Charity Shield.
Here is Bronx Goodwin under the black dot.
Brendan Favola aligned one day, alone the next. Dumped by Brisbane and headed to rehab.
Lost trust of the playing group, mate. It's hard to come back from that.
Across town, 18 days out from the NRL season, Ivan Henjak chucked on the coaching scrap heap.
I know there's a few rumours going around that I had a fallout with Ivan, but that wasn't the case.
Aaron Badley wins his first USPGA event in 4 years. The Aussie cricketers beat Zimbabwe and the Kiwis as the World Cup gets underway on the subcontinent.
Hold it.
Victoria ended a 12-year hiatus from domestic one-day cricket glory. And while Todd Carney was being done DUI, the Dragons capped off February with a World Club Challenge win over Wigan.
It was a dramatic start to the month, with North Queensland dumped from the A-League and our Aussie cricketers forced to deny spot-fixing allegations.
I think you guys are better than that to know that's not the case.
In the same week, NRL season 2011 was launched, but celebrations ended when the face of the game was charged with assault.
I can, however, confirm of my intention to defend the charge.
I'd rather not be dealing with an issue like this in the weekend before the season kicks off.
The AFL's headlines didn't fare much better. Disgraced player agent Ricky Nixon checked into rehab and the Brendan Favola circus rolled on. The news was brighter mid-month when the Magpies won an epic NAB Cup Grand Final and the great Black Caviar bolted into racing immortality.
Black Caviar, perfect.
Then there was the A-League Grand Final, an unbeatable Brisbane Roar pulling off one of the great comebacks.
Unbelievable!
As that season ended, the AFL launched its. Ryan Tandy was sacked by the Bulldogs for match fixing, and Darren Lockyer revealed his plans to retire.
And I just don't want to go down that path of, constant speculation about my future.
But perhaps the biggest news of the month came at the end. Ricky Ponting grabbed headlines for his bizarre dummy spit at the World Cup.
Yeah, if it looked bad, then I apologise for it.
It did look bad, and days later he arrived home, stepping down as captain after almost a decade in the top job.
Today I've decided to stand down as captain of the Test team and the one-day team as of now.
Next in line, Michael Clark named as his replacement.
People are always going to have their own views, but for me it's about respect.
So, with the summer of cricket and A-League now behind us, it was into winter we went. Here's the best of April through to June.
April hailed a new era for the Gold Coast as the Suns played their first ever AFL game. A match to remember, yes, but not the scoreline. The Blues winning 171 to 52. Australia didn't make it out of the quarters, but it was India who was victorious in this year's ICC World Cup.
India left the World Cup after 28 years.
More off-field drama in the NRL. Manly's Anthony Wapmo and Terence Siusiu were caught urinating in public, and the Dally M medalist Todd Carney received a good behaviour bond for his third drink-driving offence in 6 years.
Our young guys are going to make mistakes, but the fact is they're also very inspirational.
Less than 2 weeks later, he was back in the headlines, this time for a late-night drinking session with teammate Anthony Watts, which ended with Watts being charged with assaulting his former girlfriend.
Obviously, any time that the club are in the news for the wrong reason, Pat, is extremely disappointing.
Charles Schwartzel won his way into the green jacket at the US Masters.
Charles Schwartzel.
While Mundine and Wood fought it out in the ring in the rematch of the year.
This one's for my fans, you know what I'm saying?
Wayne Bennett ended months of speculation announcing he'd be heading to Tinkler Town next season.
Multi-premiership winning coach, and he's going to bring plenty to our club. It's an exciting time for Newcastle Club.
While the Bunnies lured Michael Maguire back from the Super League. There was no job for Matt Elliott in 2012 though, the Panthers informing him he'd be axed at the end of the season.
With the decision that's been made, albeit that I'm disappointed.
The Suns were shining on the Gold Coast, the new franchise winning their first ever game.
He's kicked it.
It was shining on the AFL too as it signed the $1.25 billion TV rights deal.
May kicked off with a huge bang.
I could feel my face actually burning, and the gloves melted to my hands actually.
More carnage at the Indy 500 as J.R. Hildebrand threw it away on the final corner.
No! He hit the wall!
Dan Weldon the winner in what would be his final victory. While back home, Black Caviar made it 13 straight. It was a big month of footy, and the Cane Toads' State of Origin domination continued at Suncorp Stadium.
Lockie's got Slater with him, there he goes, and Milner.
The Kangaroos made it 10 straight wins in the Anzac Test, while Brett Stewart celebrated a century of tries.
No, it was good to be back having a gallop.
Big surprises when Will Hopoate opted for religion over footy, and Phil Gould took the reins at Penrith as general manager. In the AFL, the Bombers made history with the highest first quarter score of all time.
And this is just too easy. This is like pulling wings off flies.
A spray to remember when the Brumbies lost to the Lions on Matt Gitto's 100th Super Rugby game.
In many ways, they've spat in his face a bit there. It's a charade, really, the effort here. They're just a mob without any fightiness when it gets tough.
And it was a rare day in Manchester as both the red and blue sides celebrated winning trophies. But May was a sad month as sport farewelled some of its great champions.
But all the glory belonged to Sevi Ballesteros with the phenomenal chip that lipped the cup at 18.
Oh, what a shot!
Look, the football has been sensational for me, and I just love it, and I love still being part of the Geelong football.
But as Australia lost one champion, it gained a new one when Daniel Gill became the IBF middleweight world champion.
The Blues levelled the State of Origin series by winning Game 2 in June.
He got the ball away, it's a try! It's a blue try! Anthony Minicello! On his comeback to Origin,
Missing rep players, the Dragons' title defence began to fall apart.
Because the competition's not fair.
The great Rex Mossop passed away, aged 83.
We love you, Grandpa. Go Manly. Better win.
4 club captains and Brownlow medalists were inducted into the AFL Hall of Fame.
It's a fantastic group to get inducted with, and particularly when they're your peers. I mean, we've all played a lot of football against each other, played in the same era.
Not such a good time for Ricky Nixon. The schoolgirl saga was becoming more and more public.
Get the off of me.
It was a bit like a car accident. You just couldn't look away. Oh, and there are a few of those as well.
No. He went for a hole there, boys, that was not there.
We were reminded to look both ways before crossing the road, but it all looked worse than it actually was. Injuries suffered were relatively minor. Meanwhile, Rory McIlroy was avoiding the hazards on the golf course, becoming the youngest player in over 80 years to win the US Open.
How good are you?
Couldn't ask for much more.
Simon Kadich felt he deserved a whole lot more after being denied a new contract with Cricket Australia.
I know I've earned the right to play for Australia through my performance, and to have that taken away, for a reason that I don't agree with, I just think it's blatantly wrong.
Li Na became China's first Grand Slam champion, while Rafael Nadal rewrote history books by winning his 6th French Open. Wimbledon followed, and Bernard Tomic impressed by making the quarter-finals. The same couldn't be said about Samantha Stosur, beaten in the first round.
Unfortunately, one of those days you come across a player who plays very well.
And Wayne Rooney proudly showed off his new hair.
We're halfway there, so let's have a break before we kick off the second term. We'll be back after this.